Okay, so glad you guys are all here. Happy New Year. All kinds of good things are going on. It's the 3rd of January. We've got a lot of time in front of us, which sometimes can be deceiving, where we have plenty of time. I want to tell you right now, time is running out. There's not that many days until Christmas. So if you think in those terms, Christmas is coming, so we need to start working on what we're going to do for Christmas. And in order to talk about what we're going to do today, the first thing I want to go over for a few minutes before I give you the mechanics of A, how to sell 100 houses a year, and B, then where and what to invest the money in, I want to go over your mindset. So write this down. The only real limits on what you can be, do, or have are the limits you place on yourself by your own thinking. The only real limits on what you can be, do, or have are the limits that you place on yourself by your own thinking. We start here because in order to get what we're going to be doing, you have to think bigger than you are already thinking right now. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Of course it is. Good job. All right, yes. Write down your future is virtually unlimited. Biggest coaching problem Robert and I have every single day is that we believe you can do more and have more than you think you can have. We're absolutely convinced of it, and we spend a great deal of our time convincing you of it. I wrote down here, there's nothing on earth that you cannot have. You have to write that down and believe it. There is really nothing on earth you cannot have. How do I know? I go on YouTube every single day and I see things that are done by normal people in extraordinary ways. I said, how did that get done? How do they do that? How is that possible? And then the third thing here is once you've mentally accepted the fact that you can have it, you can have it. Once you accept the fact that you can have it, can do it, you can have it or do it. The second thought I wrote down here in the mindset is we get what we think about. We get what we think about. If you think small, you get small. If you think small, you get small. If you think big, you get big. See, Valerie said gigantic. All right, you go, girl. Love it. Whatever you believe with conviction becomes your reality, whether it's true or not. So I want to start from there talking about building your business to 100 transactions a year. Now, most of you don't think you can do 100 transactions. A few of you think you might be able to do 100 transactions. And a few of you might think you might be able to do, no matter where you're starting from today, do 100 transactions in the next 12 months, even though you've only sold 10 houses last year. Okay? I'm not here to tell you you can't do it. I just want you to work on the activities to get it done. Okay, so let's move on. Robert, if you would put up page 19, please. The base to this process is your database. The base to this is your past client and sphere base. If you're a brand new agent, you probably don't have any past clients. However, if you're a new agent coming from another sales field, you might have 8, 10, 15, 20 people. Some of you have that. I know we're working with David Hurtado on some of his past client and sphere from the business that he came from. Let me see who else is here. We had Kamal Jr. worked in another business for a while, and some of those people are going to start buying and selling houses. We're going to use those as past client and sphere. Just think about that, all right? To create we're going to use our database like the top producers, and that is to create a predictable and duplicatable business that top producing real estate professionals work, and they get their past client and spheres of influence. Most of you, if I would go around the room, haven't really put your people into databases yet, your past client and sphere. Even though we provide Follow-Up Boss, and we have a great inside sales team that will help you set that up, that's the first thing you have to write down now and get that done in the next month or two, is your Follow-Up Boss running and working. I don't care if it's only running and working with 5 leads, 5 past client and sphere. I don't care. You've got to get it started and then add it to it. Now, people that go into the database are people you already know, that like you and trust you. You don't dump 2,000 people into your database. This needs to go in. The goal is 8 a month. 8 new people go into your database every single month. 8 times 12 is 96. We round up to 100. So therefore, what we're going to be looking for is every year, at least 100 people go into your database that you know, like you, trust you. People who you've done some business with in the past or were referred to you by past client and sphere. Those of us that have kids that played sports, you know, when you're sitting on the sidelines for hours watching your kids run up and down, you start talking to the parents, talking, you know, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Get those names and phone numbers, get them into the list, all right? People you know by first name, people you've had conversations with, people who you mail and email on a regular basis. And these people will refer you business over time if you will ask, all right? So you want to convert your database to deals. Statistically, the number of annual deals you should get from your database, both in direct or indirect business, should be equal to 10% of the size of your database. So most of you probably have somewhere between 100 and 200 people that you would put in your database. I think that you should have a database, a base for each person, man and wife, okay? Husband and husband, wife and wife, whatever. But you might be talking to a husband and he's really not talking to his wife, and she's the decision maker and she's out talking to somebody else. So you want to make sure that you have some kind of conversation with everybody. What we want you to do is we want you to email them weekly, snail mail them monthly, call them every other month. And those of you that for extra credit, you overachievers, on the every other month that you're calling on the odd month, text them. You guys follow me? Shake your head yes or no. Okay? So that's going to be a lot of contacts. So let's do the math on that. Email weekly is, let's call it 50. Snail mail monthly is 12. Let's say, what did we say? Call them every month, every other month, that's 6. And text them every other month that you're not calling is 6. 12 and 12 is 24. 24 and 50 is 74 contacts at the end of the year. The only thing you'd have to pay for is the snail mail, and that's 12 touches a year. Maybe for those of you in the very beginning, you don't send those 12 out, but you do all the others. Everybody with me? Let me ask you a question. If you were making 72 contacts, 74 contacts a year, do you think you might get some business out of that database? Don't you?
Yes.
Okay. So if there's 200 people and you did 74 contacts each, you should get 20 transactions, direct and indirect. Now, what do I mean by direct and indirect? A direct lead is somebody who calls you or you call them and you say, hey, I'm interested. They say, hey, I'm interested in buying a house. And you turn around and sell them a house. That's a direct business. Get it? An indirect is somebody they refer to you. Now, I want to tell you that if you do this on a regular basis, there are 20 transactions in a 200-person database, direct and indirect. Sometimes if you don't get the 20 people, and let me back up, there are 20 people there. If you got 10, you missed 10. That's a fact. We've proven this year after year after year after year after year. Okay, this is a fact. So if you only got 10, you missed 10. Shame on you. But that's what happened. So you want to, where you tend to miss people is in the indirects. We're real good at the directs, but we don't ask enough questions to get the referral. Do you know somebody? Do you have a family member, aunt, uncle, sister, brother, somebody from the church, somebody from work? Get it? Indirects. That's where we're missing the ones we're missing. Okay. And then to increase it, as I mentioned earlier, let's say this year, and I'll show you what I'm referring to in a minute when we change. Well, let's change pages, Robert. Next page. All right. So path to earning $1 million a year. So Robert, if you can, would you put 200 in there? Okay. Since 23 should have been, let's put 10. Maybe we did get 10 or 8. All right. So we had 200. We do part of our job, part of the time. But let's say in 24 is only the third day of the month of the new year. Let's say we have 200 there. And we're going to do our job. We're going to snail mail monthly. We're going to email weekly. We're going to call them every other week. We're going to text every other week. And we get 20 transactions there. Everybody with me? Now, the next year, I'm going to add 8 new people through just listed, just sold, through expired, through for sale by owners, through probate, through all the different avenues we talk about, through 2-bedroom, 1-bath condominiums, through 2-story properties. By the way, I gave out the idea again last week for the 2-bedroom, 2-bath condominiums to one of our newer agents, and he screwed up. He did what I asked him to do, and because nobody else does that, but he's a new guy, so give him a break, okay? And he went out and he got a listing last night. He set an appointment in the first week and got a listing last night, 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. So give him a big hand, you guys. Just great job. All right. Anybody else that wants to do that, you could do it too. So you got next year, you get 8 people a month. You put them into your database. Now you have 300 people in 2025 and 300 people, and you do all the things we just talked about. You end up with 30 transactions. Everybody with me? Okay, so 30 transactions at $10,000 a transaction is $300,000. I think right now we're running about $15,000 a transaction, so it'd be about $450,000. Okay, All right. Well, we're not there yet. We're not to 1 million, but we're getting closer. 2026, again, same thing. Email weekly, snail mail monthly, call them every other month, and then make sure that you do your text messages, get you to 400 people, and then 40 deals. So let's go to 27. We do the same thing, 500 people, 50 deals. 28, 600 people, 60 deals. 29, 700 people, 70 deals. 800 people, 80 deals. 900 people, 90 deals. 2032. That's 9 years, 10 years. I guess it's 9 years from now. 9 years from now, if you're 40 years old now, you'll be 49, 50 years old. Happy birthday on you'll do 100 deals at $15,000 a deal is $1.5 million. And let's say you just stop. You don't want to grow anymore, but you're going to do, you've got a couple thousand people in your database. You have 1,000 people, all right, in your past client sphere. You're going to do 100 of those transactions. You could stop prospecting for just listeds, just solds, that kind of stuff, and just work your database and make $1 million, $1.5 million a year. Okay? Simple, but not easy. Write that down. Simple, but not easy. Questions on anything I covered so far?
I wanted to ask for the snail mail. Do you also counting that we are sending the postcards for the Christmas, Thanksgiving, and all kind of stuff?
Well, what I would do with those is I would make them part of the 12. Okay? And just set them up that way. Okay, Maron? Got it. Good question. Other questions?
What kind of info do we like for the snail mail is good to send out?
Great question. So on the snail mail, we're recommending there's a couple of companies out there. I would do just listed, just sold. I would do it with the properties you're taking listings and making sales on. I would set those up a little bit in advance and send them out. They're going to run you probably, Robert, $1 each with mailing and handling now.
Yes.
Something like that, 75 cents to $1 each. So if you've got 200, it'll cost you $200 this year. Next year, it'll cost you 300. But you can see if you're making 10 more deals a year, it's pretty affordable. That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Other questions? What's on the third page, Robert? I forgot. Hold on a second.
How to get rich.
Neil, I have a question. You started to mention the name of the companies to use, but you never said them on regarding the postcards.
Did we lose him?
He got muted.
Unmute.
All right, so we'll wait for Neil to get that fixed. So, I want to piggyback on one of the questions of what do you send out on the postcard? So he did mention the just listed, just sold, things like that. Here's what I think is really important on the mailers. Don't overthink it. Don't spend a lot of time on it. Don't spend a lot of energy on it, because I have yet to see anyone ever mail a postcard and this happen. They receive the postcard. Honey, no, just stop. You got to come see what Robert sent. This is pretty magical. No. Seriously. You gotta come see this postcard. This is, I know Cambria stuff is on the refrigerator. Take it down. We're gonna put Robert's postcard on the refrigerator. Okay, that that has never happened ever. So don't spend a lot of time, effort, and energy on it. It's just basic market information. If you don't have any listings or sales, go to InfoSparks, do a copy and paste of one of the graphics on there about sales, prices, days on market, something. Put that little snippet on a postcard and share something along those lines. Here's what needs to be on the postcard. You have to have a QR code on the postcard that they can scan that goes to a landing page for something like a free market analysis. Because you want to capture, even though it's database, you still want to capture some of that stuff. So make sure, if nothing else, there's a QR code on there that you can get their information for a free market analysis or something along those lines. Now imagine they do that. You now have someone that's interested about their property. Here's an idea, just a thought, is do the market analysis and then go hand deliver it to them. You know, hey, John, you said you wanted a free market analysis. I wanted to deliver that to you and see if you had any questions, if you wanted to go over that right now. So just a thought.
Good
All
stuff.
right, Neil.
Thank you, Robert. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
All right, thanks. Good. Excellent. Good. Other questions like that or others that would be helpful? No, you guys all got it?
How do we go about like creating these postcards? Is there any ideas on that?
You know, the part I love the most is what I'd like to say to all of you right now is don't worry about the mechanics. Okay, what stops most people is they get worried, they get into the minutia and the mechanics. We as an organization have, you work for Masters, we have a concierge department that will think through 99% of that stuff for you, with you. They'll get things to work on. You could do this in Canva, et cetera, but hand it to the department, let them get 6 or 8 postcards out. So you're out 6 or 8 months and don't worry about it. Every week, we as a company send out to all of our agents something to send in an email. Copy and paste it. So if you're not getting it from the company, let us know. Let Robert, myself, any of the other coaches or admin team know, and we'll make sure that you get back on the system. Let me do a little bit of house cleaning on that. Sometimes, unintentionally, you guys, when you're moving through your emails, click the unsubscribe me button, okay? Unintentionally, I understand, but you hit that button and it's not so easy for us to put it back on. So double check it and let us know if that's what's going on, because about 35% of the time when you're not getting the information, it's user error.
Hey, Neil, about that, I have, before you, every Sunday you have sending some emails, but I don't receive it anymore. Are you
That's
still
what
sending?
I'm talking about.
Okay.
Okay, it's still coming out Sunday, right, Robert?
Correct.
Yeah, it's still coming out Sunday. That's exactly what I'm referring to, is that somehow it's not coming to you, and it isn't because we took you off the list.
Maybe.
Well, not him anyway. Okay, other questions? Other
So,
questions?
Neil, here's a question that I get, and I'm sure you get a lot, is calling them every other month. What do you say? What's the value that you're giving them every other month?
A great question, Robert. So again, don't overthink it. First of all, if you call them second and the fourth and the 6th, they still aren't going to really remember you. Oh yeah, Neil. Right. Okay. And all you have to do is tell them, hey, did you know that 27 houses closed in the last 30 days in your general area or in the city? And when that happens, 7 or 8 more are going to sell. So I was curious, who do you know that might be interested in buying something and taking advantage of the area? Or big one right now, I don't know if any of you remember, but about 6 months ago, the interest rates went from 3 to 7. Anybody remember that? Hello? Okay, besides me. All right. It went from
Yes.
3 to 7. Everybody was talking about it. Well, right now, the interest, actually, it went to 8. But right now, the interest rates are in the mid 5s. Why don't you call and tell them that? Just tell them the interest rates right now are in the mid 5s. Did you know that? And we know when that starts to happen, other people are going to take advantage of this great marketplace. Most people, I look for news about the interest rates coming down because I want to get a feeling for how much the public knows. And I have to tell you something, in the last 3 months, the rates, I've been watching intensely that the rates are coming down. I've been getting, stuff from our mortgage company that this is dropping, but it's not in the public that much. Interest rate, huh? So call them every other month and just tell them what's going on in the interest rates. Would that help? Robert?
Yes, that will help.
Yes.
Okay, or just call and say that 27 houses, let's say you could do it this way. 2 months ago, there was 30 houses that closed escrow, let's say in all of Indio, Maribel, okay? But I'll bet you at the end of January, the first part of February, there's going to be 65 closed. Now, part of it is seasonal, but part of it is because of the interest rates. With the interest rates dropping, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we had a little bit of an uptick. If you're thinking of buying or selling a house now or in the near future, this is probably a great time. Can we meet Thursday or would Friday be better? All right, good stuff. Good questions, you guys. All right, so I'm going to go back to the question I asked. Why? Okay, let me even ask it. Tess, are you there? Tess, I think, is on the phone. Melinda is on the phone. Tyrone. Oh, Armin. Armin and Tyrone. Okay. How many times have I shared this with the company?
I can't count.
Right.
More
Okay.
than 5. I've been here close to 12 years, and every year you shared it.
Right. Okay.
And I've been here too and heard it every year.
Right. So the question I would ask you guys, even if I'm half right, okay, let's say I'm kind of half not right. Isn't this still a good plan?
Absolutely.
You're about a quarter right, according to my records.
Well, isn't a quarter better than 0?
Way
sir.
better than 0.
Way better. Okay. All right. So you guys get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if you think I don't know what I'm talking about, and generally speaking, I've got a pretty good track record. But even if you really believe I don't know what I'm talking about, and there's no way I'm going to get to 100 deals doing this program, if you got to 50, would you be that mad at me?
Mhm.
Oh,
Some of you. All right, I get it. Okay. All right. I don't have any more on this part of the program. Anyone else have any questions on getting to 50 to 100 deals using the past client and sphere base?
nope.
Okay. Now, Robert, I've got a. Wait. Don't, Robert, don't. I'm going to share my screen.
Johnny,
Did somebody have a question? Nope. Okay. Hi, Patty. Can you guys see the screen?
yes.
Yes.
All right, let me do this. I'm going to stop this and I'm going to move this. And I'm going to do that. And
We were.
all right, can you guys see that?
Hey, Cheng tanga chan.
All right, let's talk
Yeah,
about Will. Yeah,
it shows
Robert?
your calendar reminders.
Oh, I don't want to do that. Okay, let's do this one. How about that one?
There you go.
Same thing or no?
You're good.
All right. So let's talk about how do I get rich investing in real estate? So I first want to get your head in the right place. You're selling more than you probably are selling now using the first system, which is the past client and sphere. You're doing 20 deals a year, 30 deals a year, 40 deals a year. Each time you raise up 10 transactions, you're probably grossing another $150,000 a year. It's all, put a 1 in the chat box if you get what I'm talking about. Put a 1 in the chat box if you get what I'm talking about. Okay. All right, good. I just want to get it across to you that that's potentially where your money is going to come from. All right. So let's go. First of all,
None of us
you
have
need-
it.
Sorry. So first of all, you need to have a plan. You need to work a system and create a schedule to do this. You need to think in terms of what is this going to look like in the end? The plan needs to be simple, not complicated. The reason it doesn't have to be complicated is most people won't stay with a complicated plan. All right. So that's where this comes in. It's very similar to the first plan, and that is you build on your activities and your work, and great things will happen. It requires discipline, consistency, and the determination. And the plan must include a great deal of stick-to-itness. You can't be and go off in a different direction. You can't do that. This is going to be consistent and right down boring. Okay, this program is downright boring, almost foolproof. My wife is an attorney and she won't let me say guaranteed to be foolproof, but it's almost foolproof. You have to determine for yourself how hard is it to stop you and how easy is it to take you off track. How hard is it to stop you and how easy is it to take you off track? Next one is it takes the skill of discipline and consistency. Most people won't do it because it takes time. It's not sexy and it's not quick. When you explain the plan to somebody, they're going to yawn and say, oh, how boring. And then 15 years from now, when you're going to show them your net worth, they're going to go, holy moly, why didn't you tell me about this? Here's the deal. When fully implemented, the plan can be worth millions of dollars in the next 15 to 18 years. There's the problem. It's not going to be done in 2 or 3 years. It's not going to be done in 4 or 5 years. This could take 15 to 18 years to do. And the investments could be throwing off thousands of dollars per month in passive income. I'll explain in a minute. There's 3 parts. Part 1 is buy 1 rental property in the next few months. You must get started. You must get started. Number two, you're going to put 20 to 25% down in most cases. In some cases, it could be 30%. And then you're going to rent the property out, and the rental income should take care of the mortgage, taxes, and insurance. If you're going to hire a property management company, it needs to include that. You don't want to have a negative cash flow. Okay? And over time, you'll see that your rents will catch up and start to create a cash flow. The house, I'm thinking of single family homes, but this could be duplexes, fourplexes. They could be 10-unit apartment buildings. I happen to know of a guy that did this with industrial property, Class A industrial property. About 30 years ago, he started. No education, no background to speak of, pretty much grew up the same way I did, and now is worth in excess of $1 billion buying Class A industrial properties this way. First, you need to buy at fair market value. You don't have to steal the house. If you do, it's a bonus. But what you want to do is you want to get the deal. That's the most important thing. Get the deal and start having the tenants pay off the mortgage. The house has to be in good condition, and it has to be in a good neighborhood. Everybody with me so far?
Yes.
Okay, now.
Yeah.
I like.
All right, so now I have to stop sharing, and I have to go to another screen. And now I go to the sharing screen, and I share. See, Robert, this is much easier when I have help. Okay, I'm sharing. Can you see an Excel spreadsheet?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So first of all, I have a question. I'm going to use $400,000 as a top end price. So almost everybody right now, we have almost 90 people on this call. A 400,000, where am I going to find a $400,000 piece of property in the greater Los Angeles Inland Empire, et cetera, et cetera? Okay.
San Bernardino.
Well, you'll find some out that way, but Robert, give me well, let's do this first. How many $400,000 properties do you think there are in a 50-mile radius of our Chino Hills office? Anybody?
How much again?
How many houses, 400,000 or less, are for sale as of 2:00 yesterday afternoon within a 50-mile radius of our Chino Hills office?
You only get condos there, Neil. Possibly Harris, Moreno Valley.
Probably 500 or 300.
500, 300. Robert, how many?
Not in Chino Hills.
965.
Say the number again.
965.
965 houses, condominiums, and then coming on market, right?
Either coming soon or active.
965 properties. So
Are they in a 55 plus community?
some. So the point, but here's my point. The point is, all we're looking for you is one, right? All you need right now is one. And every time I do this 2-3 times a year, we run the same report, and we get somewhere between 500 and 1,000 properties show up, right? And all we need is one. That's all you need. I'm not worried about anyone else but you on this call. All you need is one. So, Robert, is there anything on there? Let's pick something for 350,000 just for kicks. Got the report in front of you? And let's do it. How about Fontana or I don't know. Long Beach, maybe. Let's have some fun with it.
Right near the top, there's a Corona one.
As a two bedroom or 3 bedroom?
Ooh, let me pull it up. Let me tell you. It is 2 bedrooms.
2 bedroom, 1 bath?
Correct.
Okay. In Corona, can we get $2,700 a month for a house in Corona, you guys? Come on,
Yes.
somebody.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's try this. Is it 350, Robert?
338.
338,000. Okay. And we're going to put 25% down, see if that works. Interest rates right now, non-owner occupied. Any lenders on here? I think it's somewhere around 7.25.
Yeah,
But
I think they're around
Yeah, I would say
7.25, Neil.
7.
okay, well, let's use 7.25 to start with. Okay, my recommendation is to take a 30-year fixed loan, but pay it off in 15. We'll talk about why later. Property taxes are 1.2, homeowners association. So this is a house. So let's go to 0 on that one. Let's say the rents, let's call it conservatively $2,350. Oops. Annual rent increases are 3%. There actually can be 5, but let's do 3%. Fire insurance is $600. Okay. So in this particular case, we have a purchase price of $338. The down payment's $84,000. Loan amount is $253,500. Interest rate 7.25. PITI is $1,729. Property taxes $352. Insurance $50 a month. It's going to give us cash flow of $219 per month. Okay. So everybody with me? What if it's actually not 7.25, but it's 8.25? I want you to see what 1% does to the deal. Oops, put it in the wrong place. Sorry, you guys. Changed it, dropped it by what? $150 a month? See that? Anybody with me?
Yeah, went from 219 to 43.
Yeah. Okay, but that's if the interest rate went up. Now, here's the deal. You see this number right here, this 253,000? That's the mortgage on the property. Who's paying off the mortgage every month in the form of rental payments?
The tenant.
What?
Tenant.
The tenant. The tenant writes a check for 2350, gives it to the landlord. The landlord makes all these payments, sends it in to the bank credits him or her, and you end up with, at the end of 18 years, 5 months, a paid off mortgage. Who paid the mortgage off?
The tenant.
The tenant paid the mortgage off. What was the owner's investment on this property?
84,000.
84,000. The return on investment in 18 years is 16% a year. Okay, does anybody have any amount of money in the bank getting more than 16%? I need to know about it. You guys with me on this?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So in the first year, we buy one house. And in the second year, we buy another house, same deal. And in the third year, we buy another house. And at the end of 5 years, we bought 5 houses. We have an investment of something under $500,000 in 5 houses. You guys with me?
Yes.
The tenants over the next 15 to 18 years make payments to you and you pay them off. At the end of 15, let's say you're 40 years old now, 40 and 15 is how much?
55.
55. On your 55th birthday, your first house pays off. Your first house pays off, you now have a free and clear asset worth at least what you paid for it, $338,000. What I want you to do is not assume any appreciation. 0 appreciation. So if we're at 0 appreciation, the house you paid $338 for is worth how much 15 years from now?
338.
338. You guys following me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the second house on your 56th birthday pays off, and now you have 2 free and clear assets worth 338. So that's $670,000 worth of free and clear, true free and clear assets, and about $4,700 a month coming in. At the end of 10 years, because you bought a house every year, you now have $3.38 million in true assets, paid off assets, and somewhere around $23,500 a month coming in. You know what the good news is? Because you did this program for 15 years, you still have 5 houses that haven't paid off yet.
Woohoo!
Well, we got one person.
That's the best 401k plan I've ever heard of.
Ever heard of. No 401k beats it.
I'm
Melinda's
really on board with
investing.
this plan.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm really on board with this plan.
Who said that? I want to hear
Regina.
that. Hey, Regina. See what I say? This is almost foolproof. I'm not even putting appreciation in it. All you got to do is hold it long enough for the tenant to help you pay it off. And you end up with 15, 16% return on your investment. When I started this, the return on investment was closer to 25%. Now it's 16, 17, 18%, which is still great. I showed this 20 years ago to my hedge fund buddy, and he goes, "My God, you're making 25% a year." I said, "Yeah, don't you?" Meanwhile, he has billions and I don't. Questions on what we've done here?
Neil, yeah, I have a question here. I lost you for a moment. On the first example of the first house, how is that you ended up paying in 18 and a half years?
Okay, you're paying down the loan amount. It starts at 253, but you can see over here on the right, we built into this calculation a amortization sheet. You guys see it?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, the payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance is $1,900. But and the first month you're actually in arrears, $43. But then you start paying it down and it starts changing. See here? And the accumulation of what we paid and the income remaining here. The payments remain the same, but you see the loan amounts are going down. See it? See how the loan amounts are going down? So that's what's going on. And until such time as we actually get to zero, boom, 360 months later. That's how amortization is 360 months. Okay? So we're at zero in 361 months, 360 months. And the same thing with the rent. The rent is going up 3% a year. So the payment in rent is going up and the amortization is going down till we get to zero. So the part I don't show you is this part right here. Yeah, right here. This is actually what the rent will be. It'll be almost $1,100 a month more 30 years from now. Interesting, huh? Okay, questions?
Can you share this calculator?
Can I do what later?
No. Share the calculator,
That's one of the things I kind of keep hidden here.
Neil, I have a question.
1 second. I'd be more than glad to run the information, but I really don't want to share the calculator at this point. Okay. Go ahead,
Neil.
Tiffany.
How, under cell B17, 13,765, how do you get that number?
Wait a minute. Where are you?
Cell on the very bottom, on line 17, return on investment, and the 13,765. How do you get that number?
You divide 18 years, 5 months into that number right there, 253,500. And that gives you the monthly number, and the 16 is the return on the 16% per year. 13,765 is 16% per year for 18 years, 5 months.
Okay, thank you.
This is OPM, other people's money, in the highest form, because the tenant is paying off virtually the entire loan amount. So if you put less money down, you'd get a higher return. So let's try that. Let's put 20% down, which is going to give me a little bit of negative cash flow, which I don't like, but it changes it to a 20% return over 19 years. You see, it's going to take longer to pay off, but because I put less down, I get a higher return.
But still better than the bank.
Still better than almost any bank. Okay.
So Neil, you had a question in the chat box that says, do you recommend rolling 401k into a self-directed IRA and purchasing properties through your 401k?
You got to talk with your tax people. I'm a pretty conservative guy, so I don't want to do anything that alerts the government to my existence.
Neil, let me ask you another question here. So let's say someone is on board with this and they tell me, well, you know what, Tyrone, I like this plan, but I have issues with the down payment also. Do we have at Century 21 any programs, or if there's any lenders on here who also will assist and help with the actual down payment?
The issue with that, Tyrone, is if that's the case, they need to be owner occupied.
Right.
And if they're owner occupied, it defeats the purpose.
Okay.
Because owner occupied is only looking then at not, you're paying off the loan, that's great. and everybody should own their own home. I agree. This is an investment strategy. So people would have to save the money. You need what do they call it? A third gig or I don't know.
Side
You'd have to
hustle.
side hustle. Thanks. My suggestion is for real estate agents, we just sell 1 or 2 more houses a year.
Right.
And even if we can't do this every year, if you did a house every other year, in this particular scenario, you'd have every 2 years, you'd have to come up with $42,000 a year. And if you sold 2 more houses than you normally do, one could do that.
Okay.
Or it'd be very close. Sometimes people will get together in partnerships and they'll put half the money up each, but it's just however you the investor, want to roll with this.
Right.
Hey, Neil, I had a question too, actually.
Go ahead.
Since these are investment properties, right? Are we also considering how much we're gonna invest into sometimes? I've been out to Riverside area, and a lot of these investment properties are pieces of junk sometimes, but they're still selling for around 300,000 to 400,000. So I'm wondering, is there like a certain limit to where you look at it and you're like, this isn't, because of how much work I need to put into it, it doesn't make sense in the return of investment, you know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of like this thing here. You could add another line, and flippers do that. And they say, how much money can I invest? How much money is my carrying costs, etc. So you could have a piece of property that, you might be able to get a lower down payment on, but you're going to have to put another $50,000, $60,000 into it. And, when are you going to get that money back?
Yeah.
So you've got to do the math on it.
Okay.
But Juan Carlos, you're thinking, absolutely. Okay. It's just, right now we're looking at, what'd you say, Robert? 900 and something properties?
965.
So we're looking at 965, but of the 965, you might have to go through 900 of them before you find 2 that might make sense to you. Okay. Somebody else might make more sense. Like a hedge fund would look at this deal, and you kind of get this where maybe they would put 50% down, have the tenant pay off 50% of the money in a monthly rent. And, they'd get a really tremendous return on investment. That's why there's actually a law being discussed right now where they're going to tell hedge funds to get out of the house investment business, because that's what's costing our buyers a lot of money. But they've been buying houses since 2008. And
Neil,
they probably, go ahead.
Oh, do you recommend, if you already have a property, do you recommend to pull a line of credit so that you can buy another property if you don't have all the cash for that
Okay.
3 or 25%?
So, yeah. Again, I'm kind of conservative, and my goal is to pay the properties off. My properties, except for one, are all paid off. And that one has a 2 3/4% loan on it, and the accountant told me he would smash my fingers if I paid it off. But
Well, if it's paid off, if it's all paid off.
yeah. But what I'm saying is, my goal is to pay it off, so I wouldn't want to take a loan on these, not even on your properties. But you have to look at each transaction a different way. Maribel, you are so capable of adding another 5 or 6 sales to your business every year that would be your investment money. I'm convinced you could do that. That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay, and then go buy what you want. 5 properties would be, I don't know, what are we talking about? 90 grand. So out in India, you could probably buy a couple of houses with 90 grand and have them break even. Is that possible?
Yes, it is.
All right, we'll talk more about that. I'll call you later on this. I want to go over that other thing too. Okay? Got it. Good question. What else? Abigail, does this work?
Absolutely.
Abigail heard me talk about this 5 years ago, Abigail.
Oh, yes.
Then she's my poster child on this.
Absolutely.
How many properties so far?
Right now, we just finished, we just closed on a property in Nevada, so we are at 8 properties.
Good job, Abigail. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All
You're
to you,
welcome.
Neil, not to.
No. Has nothing to do with me. All I need to do is share the idea. You're pulling the triggers.
Every year I listen to this and I'm just like, I pay attention and I take notes and I go over these notes with my husband. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, I know it's working. I know for a fact.
That's great. Good for you. Congratulations. Good job. All right. Any other questions today on this?
Yes, my question is, do you recommend to buy houses or 1 to 4 unit apartments?
Great question, Miriam. I've done both. However, I will tell you, in hindsight, I thought I had it absolutely right with houses for years. But in hindsight, I would say units have because you can raise the rents, a better appreciation because you're in a little bit of control of the value. Okay? But here's the thing, start. If all you can start with is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house or condo, then start. Okay? Get in it, get started, get going. If you can do it with a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex, then so be it. Another thing is I did no investing outside of California. And in the last year and a half, I'm rethinking that whole thing because I'm watching some of you that are buying properties outside of California and you're getting terrific return on investment. And it's not a big deal to hassle with if you've got a good property management company out there and you don't have to get on an airplane or drive over and get it taken care of. But so that's kind of my thought process on that. So even I'm becoming versatile. All right, good stuff. All right, I hope you found these two. So before I do that, I did this so that tomorrow, when we go into the business plan portion of our conversation, we're going to be talking about, if you want to talk about doing 100 deals a year, great. You now have a vision on how that can be done. If you're talking about, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with the money, well, this is a pretty terrific idea of taking some of the money, living on it, and taking some of the money and investing it in a property or two each year, and in the next 15 or 20 years, be kind of retired on this. Wouldn't that be great to have $3 or $4 million in true net equity and $20,000 a month coming in as cash flow that has nothing to do with money you have in the bank and nothing to do with unemployment insurance, not unemployment insurance. What is it? Social Security.
I have another
Yes.
question, Neil. So if I buy some properties here in Orange County and LA, do you recommend me to have a property management
That's up to
company, or I
you,
can do it?
Miriam. It's really up to you. I personally don't want to go collect rents, whether in nice neighborhoods or bad neighborhoods. But you have to be comfortable with collecting rents and going in and knocking the door. And I mean, sometimes they can mail them to you, but if they don't mail, I'm the guy that's worried about the ones that don't mail it to me. Okay. Then I got to go knock on the door, and I don't want to do that. I know some people that bought a lot of property, what seemed to be a great deal in Los Angeles, and it's just turned out to be a nightmare. So all of it's, what's going to be what do you think is going to happen, and then kind of go from there. Okay. Does that help a little bit, Miriam?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Good. Abigail, did you have something? No? Okay. All right. I don't have anything else. Take a copy of the business plan. Think about it. think about what's possible, I want to give you a little homework assignment. I want you to go in the business plan and we talked about how to make $1 million a year selling houses. We talked about wealth building. And for now through this evening, I want you to start talking about and working on pages 7, 8, 9, and 10. 7, 8, 9, and 10. So 7 is where are you today? Your relationships, your income, your wealth, spiritual mindset, contributions. Write it down. You know, and if you don't have a lot of money in the bank, write it down. And if you have a lot of money in the bank, write it down. Because the truth is that when you start writing these things down, I'll give you an example. For years, I used to talk about I owed $200,000 in role play. So when I would talk about role play and they'd say, how much you owe? I'd say $200,000. So before I started paying off the houses, I said, that's it. I'm going to talk zero. So I started talking myself into all of my houses, my properties that I own are zero. So it kind of became a game with me in role play. Does that make sense, you guys? So put it down, take a look at it, be real, be authentic, all right? Wealth, income, spirituality, do you go to church, mosque, synagogue, etc.? What are you reading? How many classes, seminars have you attended this year? What are you going to attend next year? And then donations, contributions. Do you donate time or do you donate money or do you do both? And by the way, if you don't have the money to donate, donate time. People, these organizations need your help. And they don't have to be religious organizations. They could be, you know, kennels. They could be, a dear friend of mine has an organization in Utah right now that he was just sharing with me. God, I've known this guy for 10 years. He's never talked about it. But he has a camp for single moms. And you know, it's a legitimate deal. It's very cool. It's part of the church. And it's just amazing. And he pretty much supports the whole thing. So, you know, whatever it is for you, because donating your time, not just your money, is part of the deal. Then I wrote down, page 8 is you must get clarity about where you are in the following areas of your life. What are the top things you learned in 23? What accomplishments are you most proud of, et cetera, et cetera. So write down details. Don't give me one word. I'm proud of the money I made. Not enough. Get a little more detail. And then the next 2 pages, pages 9 and 10, are list of goals. So it's things I'd like to have, things I'd like to do, places I'd like to go, things I'd like to change in my life. If you could work on that today, that'll get us a little bit started for tomorrow. Okay. I got a couple minutes. What do you want to know that I didn't talk about or that you need to know about?
Neil, I have a question. This is Sandy.
Sure.
I listened to said that have over 900 property. I was wondering what area we're talking about.
50-mile radius around Chino Hill's office.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so that's going to be pretty much North San Fernando Valley, the mountains at the north of us, Big Bear, Arrowhead, the ocean, and I think we go down to Hemet-ish.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good. Any other questions? It doesn't even have to be on this subject. It can be something else.
Some book that you can recommend it for investing in the properties.
You know, I don't have any recommendations. Everything I learned on the streets. And I think more importantly, it's a mindset issue. But let me think about it, and I will send you a couple of recommendations. But I don't have anything in my recommendation list like that.
I have a question, Neil.
Sure, Vanessa.
Totally off topic. To start new affirmations for this year, anyone you recommend or where I can get good affirmations to do in the
Well,
morning? You know, like
sure.
affirmation.
Okay, absolutely. First of all, congratulations. Affirmations are terrific. One of the affirmations I use, or let me rephrase this. Affirmations are used to help your mind. If your mind doesn't believe it, it's not going to happen. So it has to be set up as believable. All right. Okay. For instance, I make $1 million a year. My mind doesn't believe that. Okay. Well, mine does, but maybe somebody else's mind. All right. I make $50 million a year. My mind doesn't believe that. Get it? Do you understand what I'm saying, Vanessa? Where'd you go?
Yes, Neil.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. So maybe for you, I make $1 million a year right now. It doesn't believe it. But by doing the activities I'm supposed to do every day, I can make $1 million a year. Now, how's that? Your mind will believe that.
Sounds good.
Okay. So make your affirmations believable. By talking to 100 people a day, I get rich. Well, yeah, that's possible. And maybe your mind might buy it. However, if you change that to, by talking to 50 people a day, I can reach my goal of $200,000 a year, is really believable for your mind.
Yes, it is. I'm still working on reaching 100. I mean, by 50, I'm drained.
Okay, that's fine.
That's definitely one that I.
Well, yeah, but you can't even don't articulate what you just articulated. Okay? Because that's a negative self-fulfilling prophecy.
Got it.
I can't do this. And so therefore I'm not good, or I'm not getting my job done. I contact 50 people a day and it makes me feel excited.
Got it. I contact 50 people a day and it makes me very excited to 100.
Well, don't do the 100 yet. Okay. See, it's not even important the number. What's important is gaining the skills and the activities along the way. For instance, I'll share with you, Karen Bernardi, who probably makes more money than anyone I know in the real estate business, consistently over years. Forgot my point, sorry. I know Karen Bernardi, but I can't remember what the point was. Well,
What if I actually knew how to sell?
Yeah, she actually did know how to sell. She did say one day that that is part of that one, Robert, thank you. That she said to somebody one day that if I actually knew how to sell, I'd be dangerous. And that was when she was only doing 50 deals a year. She didn't know how. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So for instance, when Karen Bernardi used to be starting, she was doing 50 to 100 contacts a day. Grind. Nothing would stop her. But what she did was, in time, she got better. She learned what to say. She learned how to say it. She was more articulate. She never let up. She knew what to say around every corner, etc. So now, instead of doing, 50 or 100 contacts a day, she does 20 and makes more money. Does that make sense? So as long as she does 20, she's going to make her $3, $4, $5 million a year. And she also calls higher priced properties. That was a good thing to do for her also. Vanessa, you could do that. Do you know that you could raise your price point by $200,000, you could go from 400,000 or 500,000 to 700,000 or 800,000, not to go too far out of your neighborhood that you are in now. You're going to raise your price point by $200,000, and 200,000 times 2.5 is $5,000, right?
Yes.
So you would raise your commission by $5,000 just by raising your price point $200,000. So instead of making $10,000 a year, you make $10,000 a deal, you make 15. And wouldn't that be better?
Way better, Neil. I'm working on that. I'm just trying to
I'm
get
sure you are. I'm not questioning you. I'm encouraging you.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate
You're
the
welcome.
encouragement.
You're welcome. Okay, I don't have anything else. Robert, what do we do next?
So I want to just, someone asked the question earlier about where this covers. So I had this map drawn just so you can kind of see a 50-mile radius of Chino Hills. So as Neil said, it kind of goes north San Fernando Valley. Actually, technically goes up to Palmdale, and down to almost down to San Diego, Mission Viejo, out to Hemet, Moreno Valley, up to Victorville. So this is the area. So, all within a couple hours, really, from one destination to a next, as long as you're not trying to get there Thursday at 3:30.
Yeah.
But I mean, but the point is that this is, Neil's whole point is you don't have to go far to do all this. I mean, this is all right driving distance away from us. So pretty neat.
It's what it is it's doable.
Yep.
It's doable. You guys just have to pull the trigger. Okay. Good stuff. We got anybody calling right now, Robert?
Oh, let's see what we got. I'm sure we do. Where is our 2024 open mic sheet?